Hi everybody, this is Braysie. Welcome to a Speak Your Truth video blog. Big breaking news here in Australia. Tony Abbott, our PM, who's a total media whore, met his wife at the Rothschilds. He's absolutely turning this country into a nightmare. We've had our march in March. Everybody hates the guy. Look, he's now saying that our jets here who try and scare off the refugees that are coming in from places like Iran and Iraq and Afghanistan because we go over there and turn their countries into rubble. No wonder they're coming here because we signed on to a convention, but that's another story. Look, the same planes that go and search for these poor old refugees in their leaky boats and now look like they may have found some debris. That's right, some 24-metre long debris. I wonder how big these container ships are. Does anyone know how big these containers on these container ships are? I mean, a container. I mean, these things must fall over in heavy seas all the time, right? So I'm sure they're about, what, 24 metres long. But anyway, they seem to have found the debris that they think might actually be this plane. And enough so that they've actually told a container ship to actually go off course and have a look. They're pretty confident. They're quietly confident, as Aussies are. We're not like CNN down here. We don't get all out of whack and get carried away with conspiracy theories.
The Australian Maritime Safety Authority has received information based on satellite imagery of objects possibly related to the search. Following specialist analysis of this satellite imagery, 2 possible objects related to the search have been identified. When
we think we've got something, we'll just be quietly confident. That's sort of how we roll. But what worries me is the people on board should pretty much be intact because we just did a huge shark cull here in Australia.
By sharks, but this idea of going out and actually hunting the sharks, baiting for sharks and then hunting them and killing them, this shark was shot in the head and then dumped out at sea, I think is a complete overreaction. There's this policy has required the suspension of the Federal Environmental Protection Act that's been done by the Federal Environment Minister Greg Hunt to allow the Western Australian government to do this. That's been they'll be allowed to do this until April 30.
A couple of people got eaten by a shark, so this is how we operate in Australia. We go out and we start killing all the sharks. So there shouldn't be any sharks left. Or maybe they've actually been pushed out to where these people are on board, and there mightn't be too many of them left. But the reality is, this is where this plane might be found very, very shortly. And if it is found very shortly, if we do get the announcement officially, what concerns me is what airports were actually en route. Now, the first theory that I liked the look of was this Diego Garcia.
The Indian Ocean island of Diego Garcia is home to a U.S. airbase that launched the most powerful bombers that were key to winning the war in Iraq. But it was also once home to an indigenous population who was summarily uprooted and shipped against their will to another island 1,200 miles away. So today, only military personnel and the workers they imported are allowed onto Diego Garcia. No outsiders can get in, but the real story is finally surfacing. On a string of beautiful coral islands in the middle of the Indian Ocean, America has built one of its most important strategic bases, Diego Garcia. Today, it's home to B-52s, and now for the first time, stealth bombers as well, all just 7 hours flying time from downtown Baghdad. Supply ships as big as skyscrapers, loaded with tanks, weapons and ammunition for Marine and Army brigades, gathered there before the order was given to invade Iraq.
Now, Diego Garcia is this sort of cabal, Illuminati, British, US, little atoll-ish type base. Now, it sort of sits there in the Indian Ocean. I know a lot of the so-called terrorists were sort of illegally transported through there a few years ago. It's used to, huge hangars are there, so the plane could have very easily have landed there and been hidden there. They could have taken off the high net worth assets from that particular base. A lot of planes come and go. There's aircraft carriers, all this sort of thing. a lot of people who were told to shut their mouths and never say anything. So this Diego Garcia was perfectly en route. Now maybe they landed the plane there, they got off all the people that they wanted to get off, or they dealt with whatever situation they needed to deal with. And remember, it's also been stated that there were some DOD, some Department of Defense people on board that flight. They may have got those people taken off. There was also the Scalar people from Austin. They may have got whoever they needed to get information off them taken off board. And then of course they said, well, now we have to tell the dumb public something. We have to give them a story, have to give them a conclusion. This is really blown out of proportion. So let's get this plane back up into the air, or let's get a plane like it back up into the air, and let's go a few hours south, and let's just crash it into the ocean. And our good globalist friends there, the government in Australia, they can perfectly find it. They can take all the credit for it, and then the military-industrial complex, well, they can sell them some more of our military equipment, which, because it was the military equipment that enabled them to suddenly find it after a day of searching, and Bob's your uncle, and isn't life grand? So this may be what's going on. I think we should look a little bit further into it. It's all just a little bit too convenient for Braysie's liking. Have yourself a good day. Love to hear your opinion.